If you are somebody who is considering getting lean enough to get a six-pack, I am here to tell you that it might not be worth it. I am somebody who has gone from being very overweight at one point in my life, ultimately to the point where I now have a six-pack basically year-round. And there are some simple, ugly truths about getting a six-pack that not many people talk about. They often think that it's really glamorous and that there's simply nothing to it than just getting lean. You're gonna feel good, you're gonna look good, and that's everything. But unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that's not the case. So stay until the end of the video because I've got some great basically tips and tricks to help you learn about what the consequences of getting a six-pack really are, both for your physical and mental health. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was somebody who was at one point in my life pretty overweight. I wasn't super obese by any means, but I always had a little bit of fluff, and it got to the point one day where I'm like, I'm going to get really lean. I'm going to try to get a six-pack, and I got it, and I was great, and I thought it was going to solve all of my problems in life. This is the leanest I have ever been in this picture, also with the best body composition, and I was about 162-ish, 160 pounds roughly, pretty lean. I didn't get my body fat tested in this exact picture, but I just wanted to show you that I have talked the talk, and you saw that before and after picture in the beginning too. But let's talk about some reasons why getting a six-pack might not be the best option for you. So the first thing about getting a six-pack that not everybody says is that it's extremely hard to get there. Now, if you are somebody who's reading fitness magazines, or maybe you have a friend who's naturally lean and they just always have a six-pack, it may seem like something that's really easy to get to. But for most individuals, it is not at all. It's going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of effort, and specifically mental effort, because you think about it, getting a six-pack is usually involving a lot of dietary changes. So you need to eat less, you need to eat better food, and that takes a huge mental burden on individuals. So if you are going to a birthday party or an event with a family, you might not be able to eat as much as you normally would, and that's very hard, challenging for your mental and physical body. Obviously, you know, it's good to have goals, and we should challenge ourselves to get there, especially when it comes to fitness and health. But a lot of people think it's going to be quick, think it's going to be easy, but usually when you're losing weight, your abdominal muscles or your quote-unquote six-pack abs are the last thing that you lose. That's usually that stubborn body fat that we talk about around your belly, and that's essentially why it's very hard. It's that last little bit, and once you lose that last little bit, your body's like, I don't really have any extra reserved stored body fat. That's why it's super hard to get there. So that's a really important reason. But also another thing to consider when getting a six-pack is that it won't be enough. And you might be asking me, Logan, what does that even mean? Well, here's the deal. A lot of people think that when you get a six-pack, basically you're going to feel good about yourself, your self-esteem is going to improve, and you're just going to be perpetually fit. You know, I don't need to do anything else for the rest of my life, right? I'm going to be satisfied. Some people that's true, but for a lot of people that I know, and for myself personally, that have gotten to this level of leanness, guess what? The second you get to that level of leanness, you are going to want more. You're going to want to lose more weight. You're going to want to build more muscle. You're going to see little parts of your body that, now that I can see my six-pack, I don't really like how my love handles look, or I don't really like how my hip bone looks, or I just don't really like how my facial structure looks when I've gotten that lean. These are common things that happen to a lot of people. So although you may think that getting to this level of leanness with six-pack abs is great, it might not be, because likely it's not going to be enough. So you definitely need to go into this with clear and focused mental fortitude and make sure your mental health is in check, because if you don't have it in check, your self-esteem is already low. The second you get to that six-pack, it's going to be basically not good, where you're going to consistently be wanting more. So on top of that, Another thing that nobody really talks about is the fact that nobody cares. Most people who care about you having your six-pack abs are going to be Instagram fitness influencers, maybe close friends who you work out with at the gym, and yourself. Most people you are going to date don't really care if you're shredded. Maybe they want you to look good and they want you to look lean. But most people do not care if you have six-pack visible abs. And in fact, I know a lot of individuals who have simply said to me that I don't really want to date somebody who's super muscular and super lean because that looks gross to me. So you may think that getting that six-pack is going to show the world or whatever you want to do. But in all reality, nobody cares because most people don't have a six-pack. And if most people don't have it, it might be something that they coveted towards, but it's kind of like that person who buys a Lamborghini and posts pictures on Instagram. Yeah, people might like it and they might say, oh, that person has an Instagram, or in this case, oh, that person has a six-pack. But other than that, you're basically just eye candy. You're not really offering much other substance. So check on your interpersonal communication skills and make sure you're a good person, because at the end of the day, nobody really cares about you having a six-pack. On top of that, you might actually judge yourself more. Now, before I had six-pack abs, I spent very little time actually looking at myself in the mirror when I was just finishing a shower, or maybe it was hot out and I just had my shirt off that day. But now, after I've gotten to that level of leanness, I do notice that I spend a little more time looking at myself in the mirror, kind of analyzing how my body looks. And because of that, sometimes I judge myself day to day a little bit more. So maybe it's I just had a really large meal with my family the next day, or the previous day at like a wedding or a birthday, for example. And then the next day I start hyper focusing on the mirror. I don't really do the scale very much anymore, but the scale is something that people hyper focus on. So you look really closely to the mirror, or at least in my case, and I might think, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit fluffier from last night. And maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but you kind of build this not the best mentality towards yourself, where you're hyper focusing and you're a little more judgmental on those day-to-day changes that might honestly not even be there. You might be just psychologically psyching yourself out, essentially. So, and because of this too, one of the other things I've noticed is that I will then make changes based off this judgment. So if I notice small changes like, oh, I ate a little too much yesterday and I notice I'm feeling a little pudgier now, maybe I'm gonna eat a little bit less today. And this is a good rule of thumb to have, generally speaking, but if it comes to the point where it's every single time or any little slip up, you need to go completely 180 the other way, that's where it can cause some trouble too. So just another unfortunate truth about getting six-pack abs, you might actually judge yourself more. And something that nobody says, you might actually look worse. Now, you're probably thinking, six-pack looks great though. How would I look worse? Well, here's the deal. If you diet down to get to a point where you're lean enough to get a six-pack, and you're not doing a lot of resistance training, or if you're just really new to the gym and you don't have a solid foundation of muscle mass built, you're basically going to diet down to six-pack abs with absolutely nothing else. So you're basically going to be skin and bone. So you're going to be lean, you're going to have your six-pack, but your body composition is not going to really look that good. Compared to maybe you were a little bit heavier before, maybe you had like a light four-pack, or you could see some resemblance of your abs, but you're a lot stronger and you had more muscle, your body composition might look a lot better and people might have found you a little more attractive if, of course, that's what you're going into the gym for. But these are just some things to consider. And on top of the fact that you might look worse, you might actually feel worse too. A lot of people notice when they diet down to a point where they're very, very lean, they lose a lot of energy. They might lose their libido, which is basically their drive to have sexual interactions with individuals. They're not feeling like they want to basically have sex as much, loss of vigor, mood goes down, all these different things. Usually this is from hormonal issues. So if you're eating a very small amount of calories, your hormone levels plummet, your energy level plummets, and not a good story overall. So those are a few things. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel. We help individuals of all abilities improve their overall health and knowledge of the gym. And if you don't want to do that, go ahead and check out this other video I created talking about a miracle diet drink that might actually help with weight loss. So check that out. I'm going to link it right here for you. We'll see you next time.
Tell me